Yeah. We moving in the dark. They don't see us coming, la la. Real ones know the deal. Clock strikes midnight, I'm lacing up my boots. Got that feeling in my chest, can't tell you what it proves, Streets be calling and I'm answering the phone. Been walking these same blocks, but I ain't walking alone. They got systems in place, try to keep us in.
Hey, how's everyone doing? So sorry. I really got stuck in this Google Earth slide presentation I'm about to give everyone, and it just was not working very well for me. So I sincerely apologize for being double late, I guess you can call it. Let's see who we got in here. Let's say hi to everyone real quick. Hey, Big Fish. How's it going? Your comment was deleted. I did not delete it. I do notice sometimes when you comment prior to a live, it just resets and just disappears. I don't know if that's what was going on. Hey, Louise. How's it going? Hope you can hear me all right. Hey, Cryptex. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Thank you for waiting. Hey, how's it going? Oh, that was very sweet. Hey, Delulu. All right, I'm going to just get right into it because I know it's late for some people, or it's getting late in Eastern time. So I'm just going to go over real quick a brief intro just in case we have somebody that just so happens to come across this live stream and don't know much about the Delphi murders. So on February 13th, 2017, two young girls, Liberty German and Abigail Williams, went missing after visiting the Monon High Bridge Trail in Delphi, Indiana. Their bodies were found the next day in a wooded area near Deer Creek. And this case has been known as the Delphi murders. And for years, And for years, law enforcement searched for the man captured in a grainy video and audio clip saying, "Guys down the hill." In October 2022, Richard Allen, a local Delphi resident, was arrested and convicted for the murders. And from a trial perspective, it really all starts with the probable cause affidavit, who stated Mr. Allen was on the trail between 13:30 and 15:30. He parked at the Old Farm Bureau building and walked to the Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw three females. He noted one was taller and one had brown or black hair. He did not remember the description, nor did he speak with them. He walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He didn't see anyone, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone as he walked. He stated there were vehicles parked at the High Bridge trailhead, however, did not pay any attention to him, and he did not take photos or video. So investigators believe that the females that he saw included redacted and redacted, and we'll go over their names in a moment, due to the time they were leaving the trail. And this is something I will be definitely highlighting here in just a moment. The same time, he reported getting to the trail and describes three females. So, well, go right into it. Blank and blank is a always want to say Riley, but I don't know. Sorry. I think it's Rayleigh Voorhees and Brianne Wilbur. And the prosecution only really mentions 3 girls. So the third one that is mentioned in trial is Anna Spath, who is Bree Wilbur's sister. Excuse me, not Bree. I apologize. Riley's sister. And then she also had another sister with her while she went to the trails that day. So I'm going to go, like, really my objective here is to go over the timeline. And the timeline I'm going to cover is really, it's starting around noonish. Okay. And that's when the 4 girls arrive, which is Riley or Rayleigh. I'm just going to call her Voorhees from now on. Voorhees, Brianne Wilbur, Anna Spath, and Isabella. Okay, so that's really where my timeline is going to start. I know there's some things that occurred. If I would cover everything, we'd probably be here all night. Because there's a lot of moving pieces here for sure. And so I'm going to try to present this Google slideshow that I have. So let me pull that up. Well, you know what? Actually, okay. 1 second. I have no idea where presentation mode went. Oh, geez. I swear. I'm going to get it together one day. Rayleigh. Thank you. Rayleigh. Yeah. All right. Let's try this here. All right. Okay. Can y'all see my screen? I think you can. Hey, Ron Logan. How's it going? I heard armadillos were like making their way over to the Midwest. Cat ham. Yeah, I don't know where this presentation mode. I'm just going to go with it, everyone, because this is not really working very well for me. All right. So weird. It's just like went away. Okay. See? I didn't want to start here though. Okay. So like I said, at 12:25, Rayleigh, Brianne Wilbur, Anna Spath, and Isabella arrive at the Freedom Bridge. So right here I have a, this is an exhibit. And so Brianne had taken a photo. So that's how she knew what time she had arrived. All right, at 12:43, the girls arrived to the High Bridge, which I want to say is like a 5-10 minute walk from the Freedom Bridge. So this is a image right here of Bree Wilbur. She takes a photo, and interesting enough, in the description, she has back. So when she testified in court, she said, well, essentially when she said back, it was because she goes there often, which is totally possible. I just find that interesting. Right. So between 1244 and 126, the 4 girls make their way to the creek. Now, in the transcripts, Rayleigh had testified that they went to the creek, and when excuse the spelling here, Brianne had testified, she mentions nothing about going to the creek or crick. Rayleigh also testified when she was on the trail, a man with a dog, she passed him. During further testimony, there was mention of this man headed towards the Freedom Bridge. Now, I do have some things that I was able to find. Okay. I know for those who watch my live stream in the past, I do like going back to a Redditor, Bitterbeat Poet, who is also Doug Rice, who's no longer with us anymore. He had passed away, but he was really boots on the ground, investigating and talking to the witnesses and talking to the parents, interviewing, various people. He was really involved. He didn't live far from Delphi or Deer Creek. And so I'm going to pull up. There we go. All right. So this is a message here. This is probably towards the end, prior to him passing. The final details I have never openly shared before. They had walked down the 505 trail, not the 501. And on the way back out, not long before they ran into BG, they crossed paths with a man with a dog, not a woman. And I'll get to that in a minute. And when a member of my Facebook, God, I can't speak right now, Facebook group told LE that, the next day he had seen a white truck parked near the Freedom Bridge. The deputy told him it belonged to the man with the dog, confirmation. So that man was not too far in front of BG, heading up towards the high bridge. I know the man's name, but he won't speak. I have been told, however, he saw the girls as well as BG. I'm sorry if you can hear that background noise. My dog is literally chewing up a piece of cardboard. Sorry about that. So where did I leave off? Okay. I have been told, however, he saw the girls as well as BG, not together, however, but at different places on the trail. So this is really interesting because for those who followed the case for a while, there's been several mentions of like dogs, right? There was a woman dog walker. There's a man dog walker. And Douglas Rice did say, hey, there's no women dog walker. And like I said, I firmly believe this communication here was towards the end, like of his life, where he wanted to disclose this, and he did disclose some other things as well. Let me take this comment down real quick. It's kind of in the way. Sorry, Ron. So I find that interesting. And the reason why here, where I'm going to go back to this dog, is because for me, a dog is very, there's not a lot of dogs on the trail. So like, in a way, if you follow this dog, who's seen this dog? What time was the dog here? It kind of really helps you kind of define the timeline better, narrow it down. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting that Rayleigh seen this dog, and there's another person on the trail that I'm going to cover in a minute who also seen this dog, but the timelines are kind of off. Like there's a big gap. And by all means, I'm not saying the guy that's walking the dog had anything to do with this. I'm just saying, like, I'm bringing it up because it just really, again, helps to, narrow down, who's where, who's at the trail kind of thing, because it's pretty, I don't know. All right. So I'm going to move on. Oh, I got to reshare my screen now. Oh, geez. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do this one. Talking to myself. Sorry. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So at 1:15, and this is estimated, Libby messages Brianne Wilbur via Snapchat asking if they, Brianne and Rayleigh, Anna, Isabella, were still at the trail. Okay, and this is an estimation of this time here. At 1:26, there's a bench photo, and this, so when Brianne was testifying, and same with Rayleigh, this was where they have left the bridge area, right? And they're on this bench, and there is, I think you can see it from here. Let me try to see if I can make this bigger. That doesn't help that much, but it is what it is. All right, so there's what they thought was the mirror's lot behind her. I don't know, because we'll get to this in a moment, but Rayleigh circles down where she was when she takes this picture. But we do know that they are no longer at the bridge any longer. They're done with the bridge. All right. At 1:27, Richard Allen's car is captured on the Hoosier Harvest Store's camera driving westbound on CR 300. And this is directly from, the time that is mentioned in the PCA. Now, what I did here is I just wanted everyone to kind of see what this area looked like prior to them essentially redoing the street. So they put the Hoosier Harvest, not Hoosier Harvest, excuse me, the Hoosier Highway in. So in between the CPS and the parking is now the highway. So where it says parking is now parking. And if you can see all the way towards, kind of like towards the bottom here, there's a small, like a bridge. So that bridge is still there. And there was parking over there at one time. actually in some of the helicopter footage videos, you can see, I think it was the photographers that were parked over there. Their car was there. So I'm just saying that people did park there at one point prior to them making that area that says parking. So as you can see, the CPS was, pretty close to it looks a lot further apart now that they redid that they put that highway in. Another thing, right, that goes under the bridge right there, that road is still there. So they kept that road. Okay. So at 1:46, Betsy Blair sees 4 girls. Okay. Which, well, I'm sorry, it's not confirmed. I don't know why I read this on my notes. Okay. I suspect it's possible that Betsy Blair seen maybe 2 of that group. And it's also really possible that she did see Abby and Libby at this time. Okay. But more specifically, when she was, and I'm going to go into this a little bit here in a moment. She had gone, so Betsy Blair is a lady who would walk the trail, right? And she did 3 loops around the trail that day on February 13th, 2017. And she, in between the second and third loop, she had left and then she came back and finished her 3rd loop. So she had seen some girls on the Freedom Bridge around 1:46. And so 1:46 is 20 minutes after the bench photo. So she's going underneath that bridge, the Freedom Bridge, and sees girls there. Okay, so it's important to point out. At 1:49, Kelsey German's car is seen driving westbound. Okay, so she had dropped off the girls. At 1:56, Betsy Blair sees a man on the Monon High Bridge, and she had described him. Actually, I can pull it up because I do want to go into this. So Betsy Blair was at the trial, and she testified on 2 different times. All right. So she thought he was in his 20s or 30s. That she also said he had brown, poofy hair. He looked boyish looking. She only saw him for a moment. So it was, and it's not that close. So where she had seen him is not very close to, I think it was I think they estimated like 50 yards. That's like a half of a football field, right? All right. Let's go here. So the second time, so when she returned back to the trail, okay, that was she got there about 1:45, and she left 1:15. Okay, so she was there what for 30 minutes. She finished her last loop, and during that time, she sees a man on the Mona High Bridge, who, since he was convicted, was everyone believes to be, or most people do believe to be, Richard Allen on the first platform. And she then came forward, I think a day or two afterwards, or maybe even immediately, and said, "Hey, I seen a man. I was there at the trails that day." Okay. And she did not see, so when she came back, and this is, this is what I really wanted to point out. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place, but just bear with me because things will come together, I promise. I just want to find it because there was something I feel like the defense missed an opportunity here. Where is it? All right, it will come to me. I'm going to move on. So I have to reshare my screen now. All right. Okay, so here's the photo at 2:07. There's a Snapchat photo of Libby, or excuse me, of Abby posted to Libby's story. So it was posted to her story and it was available for 24 hours, according to Kelsey German's testimony. Okay, so that's at 1:27. I mean, excuse me, 2:07. Okay, so at 2:08, Terry Wilson sees a purple PT Cruiser, or a small SUV type vehicle, parked on the south side of the old CPS building. It was backed in to conceal the license plate on the vehicle. So this is coming straight from the, I believe it's a search warrant. But I think it also, I know he was redacted in the probable cause, but this is from the search warrant that has people's names. So at 2:18, Betsy Blair's car was seen leaving the trail via Hoosier Harvest camera. Okay, at 2:30, Hicks Pearson are on the trail. Okay, so Shelby Hicks receives a phone call from her dad. So that's how she was able to confirm what time she was on the trail. And Shelby Hicks drives a white Chevy Impala. She stated she parked at the Mears lot and there were other cars there. So she walks almost to the Freedom Bridge and turns around. And she testified she had seen a couple of kids. So that's interesting, right? That she's seen a couple of kids there for a couple of reasons. Something's really wrong with this slide. I'm about to ditch it because I'm pretty sure I put other stuff in here. I'm never using this Google thing ever again. So I want to go back to this. I want to go back to Bree and Voorhees for a moment, because what is very interesting is we know that they were at the bench at 2:26, right? excuse me, 126. That's when the bench photo was there. But on the state exhibit, Rayleigh circles the location on the map where she was when she saw Bridge Guy, right? And she writes in 2:15. And when I read it, I must have been like sleeping during trial, or I think maybe some people reported that that was a mistake. But when I'm reading through and I created this timeline, right? I really think that when people are seeing kids out on the trail, like right here, Hicks and Pearson, they're on the trail, and Shelby Hicks states that she's seen a couple of other kids, right? And we got around this time is when Rayleigh says she leaves at 2:15. I don't know. What do y'all think? I'm going to check with the chat because I see there's a lot of good comments in here. Okay, so Freemeister says 150 feet. I was way off. I said 50 yards. Okay, so yeah, Frank Meister, that is something really good that you brought up, because you know what? I have it here. This is really interesting. Let me take this banner down. Yeah, something goofed with my, I'm not doing this Google Earth thing because it's like, it was supposed to show everyone where everyone was and it was interactive, and it's not working. So I'm ditching it. I do have notes here. So, okay, I'm pulling this up here. Let me get this comment off. All right. Let me see, buddy. Is this the biggest it will get? I think so. I believe she said 2:30, Frank Meister. 2:30 is when she had to drop off her sister for cheer. Let's see. All right, let's just go through this real quick. All right. So see if I see it. Okay, so her half sister is Anna Spath, right? Oh, no, okay, so she has two half sisters, I believe. So one of them she picked up, she had, let's see, Isabella Voorhees, and she was 12. And then she stopped by Bree's house, right? And then they went, let's see. She stopped at her mother's house. Yeah. And she picked up Anna. So she had a 13-year-old and a 12-year-old with her. So there's 4 girls, if you count in Brienne, right? And Brienne testifies that there was 3 of them there. So I have no idea what was up with that, to tell you the truth, when I came across that. So that's one inconsistency. All right. Where is it? Well, I'll probably come across it, but I'm pretty sure it's 2:30 is when she had to be back. Okay, so here we go. They went to take pictures, right? And came off of the bridge. They did not cross. She also had a camera, which we saw in the picture that I had put up. And she said she did go on the platform, and Brienne, I think, only went on a couple like steps or whatnot, and they weren't on the bridge for very long, is my understanding. Now, what was interesting about this is they go down to the creek, but in this testimony, she's saying she went to the right, because they asked her, if you're facing the bridge, which way did you go to the creek? And so this is on the north end of the bridge, right? I know on the left is a path that you can go down, and you can go all the way around actually to the crime scene, right? Or if you go right, based on everything I've seen on Google Earth, I know that there's another trail further down when you get to the connector, right? But she's saying she went right there on the right side. Like, she was not part of that other trail that goes to the creek. I found that very interesting. And she says the whole group of them went down the hill. And they went all the way to the water, right? And then she says, we went back up the same way we came down, and we started to walk back towards Freedom Bridge to go home. She said, so they asked her, so after you take the pictures down by the water and you're back up at the trail, did you see anyone on the high bridge while you were there? She said, no, she did not. Did you see anyone on your way back to town? And she says, yes. When I was almost back to the Freedom Bridge, a man walked by, walking towards the bridge, and I said hi to him. And she said, and they asked her, was he the first person you saw? And then she states she's seen somebody walking their dogs. And then this was interesting too. When I myself was walking towards Freedom Bridge or High Bridge, I'm sorry. And she's probably nervous, and I totally get that. I would be very nervous. So then she's asked, so you saw a person walking a dog on your way to? She says, High Bridge. High Bridge? Yes. And then you saw someone on your way back to Freedom Bridge? Yes. So then they're going back to, okay, hey, let's not talk about this dog right now. We're going to talk about who did you see, which would be Richard Allen, right? I mean, he's on trial, and they're there to convict him, which makes sense. That's what they do, right? Like, you go to trial and you try to get a conviction. Totally understand that, right? So then she's asked, did you recognize the person that was walking a dog? She says, I did not. Do you recognize this person that you saw when you almost got to the Freedom Bridge? She says, I did not. And then she's asked, did you have a particular time you needed to be home that day? Yes. I had to be home at 2:30 because my sister was with me, right? So 2:30, I know she didn't go straight home, right? She went over to Bree's house, and Kelsey was there. All right. Then I'm just moving along to like the highlighted things that I have outlined here. Okay. Did you or the other girls with you have any conversation about this particular man as you were walking out on the trail, right? She says, I just told them that he seemed to be unhappy. They didn't notice him particularly, so they didn't have a lot to say in response. I found that very interesting too, because I'm going to go back to Douglas Rice here. Okay. So here's a message. I don't know. What does that look like to all y'all? I don't know. I don't use a lot of social media. Looks kind of like Facebook. Not sure. Okay. So anyway, he says, well, that was earlier. Becky later said she believed he did likely have a face covering. So like, this is another topic. But what I really wanted to highlight here is he says Bree Wilbur, who was on her phone paying little attention. Okay. Okay. So I redacted this. But somebody had asked Doug Rice, didn't you say some girls saw him near the Freedom Bridge? One of them I knew. Did he have a scarf on then? Most definitely. And then he's asked, she never indicated that, she's never indicated that to me. Douglas Rice says, this picture was taken a few short minutes before they saw him on the 501 trail. Okay, so right here is going to that, 226 picture, which I didn't see in evidence. I'm not sure if anyone came across this picture here. It is also this one in the background. This might be a little bit better to see in a way. Not sure. Okay. The 16-year-old witness told me 40s to 50s. The man who saw him leaving guessed 50 to 60s. Okay, I'm gonna cover this guy. I think a lot of people that are on here might know who this is, right? So a man saw BG. Okay, they both passed within a few feet of BG. I have no doubt he is in his 40s at the youngest to go along with LE when the video is right in front of us. Not me. Well, then the witness as well? Question mark. Okay. I know it's true. How long the witness stayed at the Wilburs, I have no idea, but that is exactly where she walked to after the high bridge. From there, she walked to her home, which was near downtown. Right. And Douglas Rice goes on to say, but family has acted like the girl that was the witness doesn't exist simply because the Wilbur girl didn't pay any attention to BG like the witness did. Their attitude seems to be that the Wilbur girl didn't see it. Well, it must be BS. Sorry, family, but you are wrong. Like I said, they recently acknowledged the scarf is likely after over a year pushing that. Like I have said over and over, many folks wouldn't know the truth if it bit them on the ankle. Yeah. So Douglas Rice was abrasive. Too. So if anyone's watching this and is like, who's this guy or whatever, wants to look into Better Be Poet, he didn't have a lot of patience. But I'm going to tell you, he was like, I did an analysis. It was like 90% of the things he said, what came out to be true. I mean, 40s to 50s, if you believe Richard Allen is guilty, the age, he estimated the man to be between 5'6" to 5'8". He thought he was short. So he thought that he did hear about the whole CPS, they were looking for a car that was parked at the CPS building, that he did say, hey, I don't think that's likely because Kelsey would have seen this vehicle after she dropped the girls off, because you have to pass the CPS building, which would be so wonderful if this Google Earthing that I tried so hard to do would work. I could pull it up. But yeah, so going back to this point here is, it doesn't seem like, well, it seems like the only witness that really got a good look at him was Rayleigh. She got a really good look at the suspect, Richard Allen, or the convicted murderer, Richard Allen, and she believed that that was him. But where I'm going with this is that she says she's seen him at 2:15 towards the end of the trail, almost at the Freedom Bridge. Brianne Wilbur says that they were in the woods, and that it wasn't that close where she could hear traffic from the highway, but 2:15. So I don't understand this. I really don't, because if it's 2:15 and per the PCA says that Richard Allen was on the trails at 2 o'clock. I don't know how this wasn't picked up on by the jury, because to me, that would have been reasonable doubt just right there. I really think this case, like, if you believe Richard Allen is innocent, it's not that complex. There's a timeline, and if something doesn't fit in that timeline, um, you know, there goes the timeline. So moving on here. Now, what I also found interesting, like I already kind of pointed out, is in Brianne's testimony, she had completely, she said she went from the Monon High Bridge to the bench and went home. But I don't understand how her story is a lot different than Voorhees. Voorhees says, that they went to the creek, they came back, she's seen a man with a dog. All right, so I think where I had left off before I had to go a little bit back in time here, is right around the time that Hicks and Pearson arrive, right? And what else is interesting is Pearson sees the man, bridge guy, and Shelby Hicks sees a dog, right? And this is at 2:30, around the 2:30 time. So again, she receives a phone call to put her, she said when she got the phone call from her dad, she was on the trails. So 2:30, and seeing other kids on the trail, to me, sounds like she's seen the group of girls, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me check in with the chat. Oh my God, that's hilarious. So Louise says, I think the internet made it that way, Cryptex. Yeah. Delphi is the real Twin Peaks. Yep. It is. Like I said, I really don't think it's that complicated. It's like, who was there at the trails that day? There was a lot of people at the trails that day. And if they ruled them all out, great. But like, if Pearson sees Bridge Guy and describes him very similar to what, and again, he didn't testify. I'm going off of like what is on the internet, right? So take that with a grain of salt. But if he sees Bridge Guy and he described him just like how we found out what, a scarf, that ended up being true. A hat. He didn't see the hoodie though, the hood over the hat, but he did see a hat. It's just interesting to me, like why wouldn't he why wasn't he there, even on the fence side as well? All right, so 2:30, I've got Hicks and Pearson arriving. Then 2:30, they see, so this is Pearson and Shelby Hicks, see a man with a camera, which we come to, believe it's David McCain, right? And David McCain says he gets to the bridge. First he says 2 to 4, and then it gets narrowed down to 2 to 3, right? So we got McCain there. We got Shelby Hicks there. We got, who else? Daniel Pearson there. We got a guy with a dog there. We got a group of other kids there, right? That's what we know right now. Actually, and then we got two. We got Cheyenne and Shelby Duncan arriving at 2:50. So we got Cheyenne, Shelby Duncan there. Cheyenne testified that she had to park in the grass. So Kelsey, who I haven't really went into detail, but during her testimony, she did testify that you only can fit 2 to 3 vehicles at the Mears lot. I call it the Mears lot. This trailhead thing is confusing to me. I don't know why. When I hear trailhead, I'm thinking the trailhead parking, which is like at the beginning of the trail in a way. That's just me. So Cheyenne, she parks in the grass and she drives a purple Chrysler 300M. At 3:02, and this did not make its way into court, but apparently a unknown phone number 2 comes close to the crime scene. So I think they have that one between 50 to 100 feet radius. So pretty close. Could that have been the girls by the creek? I don't know. No, definitely wasn't. Okay, so at 3:12, Cheyenne and Shelby were on the Mears Connector Trail and passes an overweight man with a camera. Okay, And I believe that to be Derek German. So Derek German also, he arrives at 3:13 at the trailhead. At 3:25, Derek German encounters David McCain near the trailhead, asks if he's seen two teenage girls, and David McCain says no, but states he's seen a couple down there taking pictures. So that's interesting because Shelby Hicks and Daniel Pearson at least Shelby testified that they got off the bridge and they went directly to their car, their vehicle. Of course, they obviously walked from the bridge to the Mears lot, but who is the couple at the creek taking pictures? Could that be another two people? I don't know. It's interesting though, because like depending on where they went, which direction actually McCain went to, that could have been that ping. I don't know. Could have been anyone. So just a second. Sorry about that. Had some background noises going on. All right. So between 3:12 and 3:49, Cheyenne Mill and Shelby Duncan are on the south side of the bridge. And they go to the right and make a little pit stop. And they don't hear anything. So I think I already said that. I'm sorry. So 3:30, Derek German walks towards the Freedom Bridge and then down to Deer Creek. Derek calls Becky Patty near Freedom Bridge. Derek German returned to his car and waited for 15 minutes. At 3:49, Cheyenne took a photo while walking back across the creek. I'm going to pull that up. Okay, so here's this. All right. So this is on Cheyenne Mill and Shelby Duncan's way back. They take these pictures. So I'm estimating Shelby Hicks and Danielle Pearson to leave around 3:50. I don't know why this uploaded reverse here. Oh my gosh. So 3:58, Sarah Carba sees Muddy and Bloody. And well, I don't even know how to. Okay, I'm going to take this off. I'm going to pull it up because this is important. Where she's seen this picture. Okay, I have it right That's better. Okay. So the 3:58, Sarah Carbaugh, her vehicle passes the Hoosier Harvest store camera, which is now on this map. Pretty sure it's the Delphi Youth Store. And so she's traveling east. Okay. And she passes Bridge Guy, who I'm assuming came out of the cemetery, but we don't know that. Right where it indicates BG, in between those two areas. So that's at 3:58, right? At 3:49, well, excuse me, 3:45, Derek German returned to his car and waited 15 minutes. Okay, so he's in his car between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. Okay. And we have Shelby Hicks and Daniel Pearson leaving around 3:50 to 4 o'clock. We have Cheyenne and Shelby Duncan on the bridge taking a photo. We got, sorry, David McCain. Who knows where he is? I have no idea. Like, the dude is all over the place, I think. But yeah, he's walking back towards his vehicle because he testified that he left when the kids on the moped came around that time. So now we got more people in the parking lot. Okay, so we have all these people, like, if they're not all in the parking area simultaneously, they are very close to that area. And we have Muddy and Bloody Guy walking. Do you see how, I don't know, this is my opinion, but it's just a general observation here, how empty that area is, and what you would literally be exposed. And what's circled here is the Mears lot, Sherry's Lane, Trailhead parking, whatever you want to call it. Like, that is in that circle right there. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, to me, and I'm just thinking here, like, from a I mean, I know anything's possible, right? Obviously. But just looking at this from a common sense perspective, how does, like, no one in that parking area see him? I mean, it's exposed. And if he goes back in through the woods to get back on that trail, that would be less risky, of course, than be walking down 300 North. But he's going to run into one of these people that are either not in that parking area altogether. Because I did not, like, when I was reading all of this, I did not come across anything in the testimony that said there was 5 people in, this lot, right? Or, who knows, 10 people at this point who were in that lot, but they were all arriving like within 10 minutes of each other, like leaving. We have more people pulling up around this time, because after Derek, like I said, had called Becky Patty, he went back to his car. Then he goes back to the bridge after the moped people arrive. And when I say moped people, they do have names. One her last name is Abbott, and the other one, I wrote it down somewhere. I don't have it. I'll probably come across it shortly. Um, but that's irrelevant in a way. There was 2 kids sitting on the bridge when Derek German comes back to the bridge. So, um, again, there's a lot of people walking around here, a lot. And I just don't see how no one else came cross paths. But Derek German, perhaps. Not Derek German, I'm sorry. Daniel Pearson perhaps did, which we never hear from him. So what is up with that? That's a good point, Louise. You are right with that. Like, people are always distracted on their phones. I mean, you can't even go, like, if you go out to dinner, it's like people don't even talk to each other anymore. They're just like sitting on their phones. I'm just like, really? It's crazy. That's a good point as well. But you know what? I seen Richard Allen, and I'm gonna tell you, when I saw him, I could not believe how short he is. I know you hear everyone say that all the time, and I get that. But if I seen someone like that short, the first thing I'm gonna say is he was short, because that's just the way I can describe him, you know? So, and everyone does remember things differently, and some people remember things that they never seen either. Um, and I will put that out there like that. I just I have a very I'm having a hard time with Brianne Wilbur's testimony. And I'll cover that at the end, because I think it just really warrants a thorough reading. But there's a lot of there's a lot of times that, like when during the testimony where it seemed like she was not answering questions correctly or leaving out some details. And this is my perspective. Um, I just something was, she's leaving some pieces out, and those pieces could be nothing. Don't get me wrong. I just, I have a curious mind, and not, would like answers. I know I probably will never get them. But I do not feel comfortable with the 215. I don't feel comfortable with the 215. I don't feel comfortable with the time that, 2 people see this dog around the same time. I think at first, like I said, I originally thought, oh, this must have been a mistake that she said 215, and, by mistake. But then when you look at the various testimonies and just like where everyone is on the bridge, or not on the bridge, but on the trail, it seems very plausible she's seen bridge guy at 215. Because there was some testimony where it was like, yeah, we left shortly after we took this photo. And you could, like, based on, I think it was, not sure who did her direct. But anyway, whoever was doing the direct was kind of not what she wasn't asked, or some of these other people weren't asked, where you're thinking, okay, it would make sense to ask, this type of question. And when they're not asking it, it's very suspicious to me, in my opinion. Yeah. Which one, Louise? I'm just curious. That does sound, I think I've seen something like that too when I was reading all these books. I call them books. Okay. So where was I before I went on my tangent here? Okay, so 4 o'clock, Derek German walks to the high bridge. He did not cross it. Sees a boy and girl on the first platform on the high bridge, who's I think it most likely Maya Abbott and let's see. I'm trying to read my writing here. Yvonne Fritz. I think that's my writing. Let's see. Now, what Derek German does say after you testify, like when he was testifying about walking back to the hybrid, is he said not so later or shortly after that, that is where um, Cody, Patty, and Kelsey pull up. So I'm estimating or guesstimating that around 410, 420 is where they show up. So the boy and the girl, I just want to point this out, is not Kelsey and Cody, who Mike Patty had seen on the bridge. He was not asked that directly, but indirectly he answered that question. So at 4:20, Kelsey and Cody cross the bridge, and I'm thinking around 4:30 is when the scooter people leave. So let me check with chat here. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind on the chat. She said, okay, according to Sarah Carball, she said muddy books, you seen bloody, muddy guy near the cemetery on 300. Bree took a picture at the bench prior to Voorhees. Is that what you mean, Frank? I'm gonna call you Frank for short. Oh. Oh. And I'm just learning about this mess. A lot of contradictory information. Seems like a typical small town patsy. They had a fill in the blanks, no real investigation, simply because it was too late. I mean, I could see, just I agree with you, like as far as the investigation, I mean, I think they were investigating the way they knew how to investigate. It is a small town, and I don't really give them a pass because of that, because they had the resources. I think that's where, as a leader, whoever's running that investigation needs to organize and prioritize things, and they had the resources to accommodate whatever tasks they needed to complete. And I know a lot of people say, well, the FBI screwed things up. I kind of believe that, in a way, um, because one thing that I didn't really go into on this live, I have gone into detail on a previous live, is the fact that David McCain, when he was taking, photos, right? He had a camera, and in the background of one of his photos, he captured a vehicle on 300. Um, so 2 years, so he handed his SIM card right away over to the FBI. But 2 years later, I think it was not the FBI, but like, the state police, ISP, or whoever, there was a task force. So there was various different agencies involved, but not the FBI at that point. And I believe that was what, 2020. They came and re-interviewed him, and they had asked him if he knew, or if he had any of those photos. Like, do you have any of these photos? He said, no, I handed over my SIM card. And then they wanted to know, well, do you know what kind of vehicle? Do you recall the vehicle that you captured? And he said he didn't even realize he did capture a vehicle. So I guess where I'm going with this is like, where's that SIM card? It sounds like if the, local agency is asking questions that they should know, because, and they should have access to the SIM card, or at least like the downloads from whatever photos he took, you know, um, they should have that. So the fact that they're trying to get information from McCain tells me that that SIM card is like nowhere to be found, or they don't have access to it. I don't know if there was like a tug of war game going on, with who has authority over the investigation. I'm just speculating there. So I don't know if the FBI just wouldn't give it to them. That doesn't make sense. Like, why would they not? And then if that's not the case, the only other explanation to me is it's gone. So that's like one thing that, I think the FBI may have screwed up royally on. And then also there was some mention about the Hoosier Harvest store camera. Apparently there was some video. Oh, no, 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 it wasn't the Hoosier Harvest. It's a gas station, a Marathon gas station video was nowhere to be found. Um, oh, while I'm bringing that up, just interesting fact here that I kind of came across indirectly. The the Hoosier Harvest store camera was off by, like, I think, almost an hour. Frank Meiser probably knows the exact amount of time. So please feel free to chime in here. But because it was an hour fast, Mullen it's my understanding, Mullen, one of the investigators, had, sorry, I'm shutting my phone down. He had stated he asked between, I think the time frame was 12 to 5. I'm pretty sure it was until 5. That was the time span where they were wanting the footage from this camera. And the fact that people that were all at the trail, I took notice how the defense wanted to know what direction people left. Did they go west on 300, or which they would have passed the camera, or were they going east on 300? And there's no one that, at least that I've seen in the in evidence, that's been released that is past 4 o'clock. So um McCain, when he left, he had but he was asked, "Hey, which way did you leave to go home? Did you go towards Delphi, the city, like to the city, which would be west, or did you go east?" Right? Because west would cross if they had the footage, it would have been captured on the camera. Um, but McCain doesn't recall which way he left. And I think the defense really should have pushed him a little bit more on that. To just my opinion. I am not an attorney. This is just me looking at things from a different perspective. But I felt like they kind of let him dodge those questions. Like if anyone reads the testimonies, go to David McCain's and just kind of see how that rolled out, because it felt like um there was some deflection going on. I guess that's the best way to summarize that. But yeah, no one, like there was nothing after 4 on that camera. Yeah, Louise. Oh, that's interesting. So, for those who are listening or and don't have access or can't read this, what Frank Meister has stated. He says, "I hope you all know that Bree Wilbur was brought in for questioning after Keegan Klein's arrest." Yeah, I agree. So V stated, yeah, um, basically the Hoosier Harvest Store camera stuff seems sloppy. It's just weird. Like there's nothing after, I think it was like, I think Carbaugh is the last car, at least that was admitted into evidence, who passes Muddy and Bloody guy walking in an open field where no one else had seen him. It's weird. So, Big Fish asks, so Peggy, do you think Richard Allen is guilty? Um, Gosh, I keep on going back and forth with this. Um, I did take a break, and I haven't really talked to many people in the community. I really, I had other things going on, but it really gave me time to think about this case, like without being, without others people's opinions. Like, and don't get me wrong, like people can persuade others, because like if you have an intellectual conversation with people, people can change their minds, but anyway, I kind of removed myself from, you know, not on purpose, but like talking to other people. And I really was focusing on reading all these transcripts, and they're really, really interesting. Um, a couple times I was like yelling at my computer, like, why didn't you ask? Like I was watching like a Sunday football game. I know I'm such a dork. But yeah, it's really interesting. And so anyway, to answer your question, Big Fish, I think Richard Allen should not have been found guilty. That that's my opinion. based on the evidence, I don't see how anyone could convict him. You have a video where, some people can argue, oh, well, he was wearing the same clothes. Well, that's not really what he said. And then some people can argue, well, they identified him because they saw the video and they said, that's the man I had seen. Like, how is that even possible? Like, how do you identify somebody from a video like that? I don't know. I mean, it's possible you can. I would say, like, if somebody did something substantial where, you like took notice of, like if there was an event, let's just say, like somebody falls down in front of you, right? You're gonna, pay more attention. Like, is this guy okay? Things like that. Like, I could see, okay, maybe you can make out like his body shape and clothing or whatnot, or the way his face or his head is structured or whatnot. But like, it doesn't seem like any of that happened. So, I mean, can any of us identify somebody we seen at the store 2 days ago? I don't. I know I can't. If I just pass somebody at the store, I'm not going to be able to really point them out because there just wasn't anything that's, usually going to the store is uneventful for me, luckily. Although, like, we're in some crazy times because it's like you turn on the TV and it's just like, gosh, you can't even leave your house anymore. But anyway, let's see. I think I covered a lot of these. But yeah, I do want to go back to Brianne Wilbur's testimony. Now, she had testified twice, just like Betsy Blair did. But I think there's something I didn't pull up. Here, let me pull this up. I gotta take the comments down. Okay, so that's the affidavit for the search warrant. I know I had circled something on one of these. I don't know if there's any content creators who probably could relate to what I'm going through right now. I had uploaded the maximum amount of images and all that, and I'm struggling with seeing what is what. I didn't label them correctly. So anyway, all right, let's go back to. I need to shut my door. My son is so loud. All right. Just 1 second. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm bringing this back up. All right. So this is the first. So this is the prosecution's direct examination of Brianne Wilbur, meaning like she was their witness when she was testifying. Okay, so Brianne Wilbur receives a text message, or actually I think through Snapchat. She received a message through Snapchat. Says, and so did you receive this message from Liberty German before you left the trail? And when I say left, I'm saying past Freedom Bridge. And her response is, yes, we were still on the trail when she messaged me. Okay. So if you want to pull, let me see if I could pull this up, but we have some of Liberty German's phone activity from February 13th. And there were some, so when she was in Kelsey's car, I believe, there was some Snapchat activity where she was opening snaps, and I believe she was responding to chats. I don't use Snapchat. But my understanding, I'm like old, right? My understanding is that you get a message, you could post it, you like put it to your story, and people can respond to you in chat, like snaps, like pictures. So there was some picture activity and viewing going on in Kelsey's, when they were on the way to the trail. Which, if we go with the, they're at the bench at 126. And if we go with the PCA, with Richard Allen arriving at 2, right? Obviously, they're not there yet. I'm thinking this message that Brianne Wilbur received from Liberty German was shortly before the girls got to the bridge. And you may say, like, why is that important? Well, we like this Snapchat never was brought into evidence, and it helps with the timeline, right? Because like, how long did were they at that bench at 126 to when they crossed the Freedom Bridge? And I think that is what we're seeing right here is, hey, where were you when you got this message? Was it after you crossed Freedom Bridge? Because remember, Betsy Blair supposedly seen girls on the Freedom Bridge. So, anyhow, her response, there was a follow-up question. Okay, so when you responded, what did you say? I told her no, that we had just left maybe 10 minutes ago. And then she's asked, and so when you were saying 10 minutes ago, are you specifically, referring to the high bridge or just the trail in general? She says the high bridge. So she's saying, Brianne Wilbur is saying that they had just left the high bridge, right? And that goes back to the timeline. But they went to the creek. They went to the high bridge. They went to the creek, right? But they didn't take the path that goes down to the creek, right? Because this is important. Where were you on the trail when you got this message? Because it is like within, a, let's say, 30-minute window when you are passing, or when bridge guy passed you, right? And that's why I'm thinking, is that why Voorhees said she went down the trail, or down the path to the creek right next to the bridge, which is like literally a really deep slope. Like, it is, I've never heard of anyone doing this, like going down that way, because it's like when you're like, so I can't even talk right now. When you're at the water, I don't know if anyone's seen pictures of the bridge from the creek level. It is literally like a bunch of rock. So it's like the foundation and it's like straight up the bridge. So I don't understand how that's possible. I don't know. Has anyone been to the bridge here? Meister, you've been to the bridge, right? I'm just curious, like, if you're looking at the bridge, you're not on the bridge and you're on the north side of the bridge. To your right, do you see it plausible that anyone went down directly to the creek to the right? Okay, and while I wait, if he's still in here. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the question. Okay, when you responded, what did you say? I told her no, that we just left maybe 10 minutes ago. And so when you were saying 10 minutes ago, are you referring, specifically to the high bridge or just the trail in general? And her response is to the high bridge. Okay. Later that day, did you learn AW and LG were missing? Yes. And do you remember how you learned that? She says, yes. And then she's asked, what do you remember? Answer, when we were home, it was me and Kelsey's grandma had tried to contact her, and that is how we found out. I think we've heard of that before, at least the people that have been okay. So she's asked, when I saw the image, the first thing that went into my head was that was the person on the trail. Okay, I'm going to show you what's marked as State Exhibit 210. Is that the image you would have seen in media or on the news? She responds, yes. Then she's asked, and if that, the image that you believe was the person that you saw on the trail? Her answer is yes. Can you come down to the map and show us where the last picture was taken that you indicated was 126? Oh, 1 second. Okay. Her answer, it would have been right in this area because it's in the back of the picture where, it's in the back of the picture. There is a green building with a green roof. Okay. And you can see that in the back of the photograph. And that's what you use for reference. She said, yes. Was how long after that photograph of the bench? So you're on this trail. She says, yes. How long after the photograph with that building in the background did you run into Bridge Guy going past you? She says, I do not know an exact time, but I would know that we were still in the woods. I'd say around this area because it was still very woody. We weren't getting to the point where we could see the highway or hear it. So the next question. Okay, and if you were walking out of the trail towards town, which way was the Bridge Guy walking? Bridge Guy was walking this way because we were walking that way. And I believe she's referring walking towards Freedom Bridge, right? Okay, so next question. And as far as the timestamp on your phone, were you set to Indiana local time? She says yes. So this is Eastern time. Okay. And so your timestamp would have been accurate as to the time of day. She says yes. Okay, so this is her cross by Baldwin. I want to spend some time talking about this guy that you say creeped you out. Yes. She responds, yes. You got to say yes so that the record's clear. She says, yes. I might have to do that more often. So this is it the guy that you say creeped you out? She says, yes. All right. Now the height of that guy that creeped you out was he stood as high as his upper forearm. Is that correct? She says, I'm not. Can you reword that? I don't blame her because I don't understand what he said either. Anyway, then she's asked, sure. You describe this man's height. Is that you stood as high as his upper forearm? At the time, that's what I guessed at. I was going off just kind of general height of my family and height-wise, but it was a quick pass by. Then she's asked, so he was a taller guy? Correct. Correct? Correct. Thank you. That's the guy that creeped you out. That's on the photo. Correct. He was a muscular guy? She responds, I'm unsure. Then she's asked, okay, do you remember giving a statement to the police in around 2020? Dave Vito was there. The talk was in the U.S. Marshal's office. Do you remember that? She responds, yes. Okay, would it refresh your memory if I asked you to review your words? We can. Okay, great. I'm going to hand that to you. Have you look at page 22? Mr. Baldwin, do you guys have that? Need that? Miss Diener, what are you referring to? Mr. Baldwin, to her August 22nd, 2020 statement. Miss Diener, I have her deposition. Please turn to page 22. I'm looking at line 16, but you can read it as much context as you want. Okay, does that refresh your recollection from this? Yes. You said he was muscular. Yep. Younger guy? I'm not sure. You told the police. Did you tell the police that he was in his early 30s? Was that in 2020's interview? Yes. I may have, if it's in there. That was 3 years later. Okay. So if your memory's bad 3 years later, when you talk to police, she responds, given at the time I was 16, at that point in 2020, I was around 19, 20 years old. Question, I understand. He wore a zip-up windbreaker jacket. Is that correct? She says, I don't remember that. Question, not a heavy jacket? One of those windbreaker jackets? Yes. And he had, his hood was on, and he had a hoodie, and it was on, he was wearing it over his head. Answer, he had something on his head because I wasn't able to see his hair. Question, there was a lot of people on the trail that day. Answer, there were a few other people, yes. Question, did you see a guy on the trail that day that looked to be around 20s and had brown poofy hair by chance? Sorry. I don't recall. All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Diener. So, she was then, there was an opportunity for redirect by Ms. Diener. And she was pretty much, she only asked one question, it looks like. Ms. Wilbur, referring you back to your photographs, you identified as the person you saw. Did anyone look like this other than the person that you saw after the bench picture and before you left the trail? She said no. And nobody from the jury had any follow-up questions either. And interesting enough, Baldwin pretty much releases her from her subpoena, I believe. So, I don't know. Okay, this is where she said, she was asked, when you got to the high bridge, what did you do? Brianne Wilbur says, we took some pictures and then we just chit-chatted. We didn't do anything crazy. We didn't cross the bridge, just took pictures. Then she's asked, did you post anything on your Snapchat to indicate that you were at the high bridge? She says, I did. Trying to get to the point where she basically says they went nowhere else after the high bridge. And then after you're at the high bridge, what did you do? After we were at the high bridge, we were getting ready to leave and went the same path back. Nothing about a creek in here. Nothing about going down a steep hill either. And did you see any people on your way back? Says we saw a few people, yeah. And excuse me. Okay, did you take any pictures on your way back? We did. Was there one in particular that would have been your last photo on your way home? And then Baldwin says, basically they're leading the witness. His objection is overruled. Then, and you provided those photos to law enforcement, did you not? I did. And you provided them with a timestamp from your Snapchat app, did you not? She says, I did. Okay, so this is where I have an issue. And I get it, Snapchat, like things disappear from it pretty quickly because that's just how the app is built. I completely recognize that. But why didn't anyone copy her phone? Like, why are we looking at timestamps? And I'm going to pull it up, actually. Let's see. I think this one might have timestamps. This is what I'm referring to here. Okay, so this is 126, right? But like, what does this edit snap do? Does anyone know? I honestly, like, this is a legitimate question. It's not rhetorical whatsoever. Like, what can you edit here? I mean, is this reliable? Is this evidence what somebody screenshots on their phone? I could tell you I had to go to court about something, nothing criminal. And if it was, I wouldn't really care. But anyway, I had to go to court and it was like a civil matter. And I had screenshots, right? And I printed just like this. Okay. Printed them out, brought them in. And this is small claim. Was told that is not evidence. You cannot use this. I was like, okay. So I'm just using that. I understand civil and criminal or different, but to me, like from an evidence perspective, how is this legitimate evidence? Like, and I'm not saying they're doing anything nefarious here. I'm not. Totally not saying that. What I'm saying is like we're using these times to build a case as to when these girls ran into Richard Allen. Right? So I just I don't understand. Like, if this is really I think to me, this probably weighed heavy on the jury. Like, they would put weight to this, right? 126, they're on the bench. The bench is located at this location. It takes, 15 minutes. I don't know how long, but I'm throwing numbers out here. It takes 15 minutes to get to the Freedom Bridge, walking slowly because there's 4 girls and 2 of them are young, right? Walking slowly to the Freedom Bridge. Maybe they sat on this bridge for 15 minutes, and that leads you pretty much right to 2:00, right? Where the PCA says that Richard Allen, entered the trails. And we're basing this because she was at this bench and the bench is located, in this location. And she's saying, I did nothing else after this picture. We pretty much went directly to Freedom Bridge, right? But then we have a dog walker who I have no idea what time, but Voorhees says that the dog walker was on the way to the Freedom Bridge, right? But then we have Shelby Hicks saying, I seen a dog. And she arrives at 2:30. Which, again, if we go to where it was circled on the map, that is 2:15. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that this, like the whole totality of like trying to put all these pieces together and all that, and not having anyone point to Richard Allen and say, that is the man I saw. Because no one did that at trial. Nobody did that. What they did was, that's the guy I recognize in this video. Well, the video, probably a lot of these people that are on this live or who watches the replay, this video, I don't know, I've probably spent hundreds and hundreds of hours trying to figure out who the hell is on that video. What was he wearing? Oh my goodness. What is this fanny pack? Is it a fanny pack? Is it not a fanny pack? What about the shadow that's in his crotch area? And which way is the shadows going? Like, just trying to, I know I'm going a little deep on the deep end here, but if the video was so good, why didn't anyone that has gone into CVS, including the police, because it's literally right down the street, why couldn't anyone say, oh my God, that's the guy on the video? That's what I have an issue with. So going back to I wanted to pull something up. While I do that, I just want to say, I don't believe she got a good look at Bridge Guy whatsoever. I mean, if you listen to what I just read, if you could understand me, did not describe, I don't even think she described the guy in the video correctly. So if we're going to go with that logic, I don't even think she described the guy in the video. B says Snap is different in 2017 than now, but I think Edit Snap is where you save a photo to memories, and if you want to repost it or post in the story later, you can add stickers, filters to the memory. So here's a question. So I'm wondering if you go through that process, right? And you save it to your memories, and then you do something with it, right? I wonder what time shows up, just like it does here, February 13, 2017 at 1:26. Is that the metadata? Or is that when it was uploaded? I don't know, because I was looking on ChatGPT, and basically what they told me, they, like it's a person, but you know what I mean, is that the metadata could be used when that picture was taken. So if you have a picture and you screenshot that picture and make another said picture, it will only recognize the time of the picture that you uploaded. So it doesn't say it. I guess where I'm going with this is, if that is true, then this does not mean this picture was taken at 1:26. And I have no idea what that means, to tell you the truth. I'm not saying it needs to mean anything. I guess what I'm saying, there's like an integrity of the data and the evidence. Like there's a lack of integrity of it. Because again, I go back to this whole thing, like, subpoenas, and you just can't bring in photos into court with timestamps on them, because like that's not evidence. I could literally take my picture, any picture, and I don't know if a lot of people have iPhones, and if you click on the little information button, you can change the time of that picture, of like where it was taken, all of that. But no, I really appreciate that. That's really interesting. And I don't even, like I said, I don't know how to read Snapchat. So like if I could not look at this and be like, this is in her memories, or this is, a photo. I'm curious if, like, does anyone have a screenshot of this snap? Because it had to go somewhere, right? And the way this community is, it seems like we have like thousands and thousands of screenshots. I'll tell you that right now. I probably have at least 1,000. Well, sometimes I take like screenshots because I already have it in my camera, but I want to find it easier next time. So I want it to be like in the beginning of my roll. Yeah. So obviously I don't use folders the right way, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I'm curious, does anyone have like a screenshot of this snap? If I had a time machine at this point in my life, it's pretty much a toss up between Jack the Ripper and Delphi. JFK is a distant third. Yeah. It's all like in that same spectrum, right? What is the 11:32 on the timestamp of the photo? Oh, okay. That's a good question. I believe that is um, when she screenshot this photo. So she pulled it up. The 1:26 is supposedly the time it was uploaded to Snapchat. And then at some point after, the next day, or 11:32 at night, that night, she took a screenshot of this. That's my understanding of it. Luke did it, the AI. That's pretty cool. I come across a couple posts, and one of them was like, it was on Reddit, and somebody took the picture and asked AI to like pretty much enhance it, and it looked nothing like the guy. But there's like a lot of versions of that out there floating around. Okay, so Frank Meister, it's my understanding that this photo, so there's two photos. One of them is when they got, well, actually there's three photos. One of them is when they got to Freedom Bridge. And I think I have it in my notes, but I think that's around, let me look at it. Okay. 12:35 is when they arrive. And that's when they take the Freedom Bridge photo. Okay. And then there's another photo at the bridge, at the high bridge, and that is at 12:43. So what is that? 12:43, 12:25, 8, 18. Well, yeah, 18 minutes. So it takes at least 18 minutes from the Freedom Bridge to the high bridge. Like, I shouldn't say at least. They could be walking slow. I don't know what their pace was at the time, but 18 minutes. And then there was this photo right here at 1:26. And this photo is supposedly when they're at the bench, and where that was kind of in question. Was it there's several benches on this trail. So was it the bench that's by the Mears connector, Trailhead connector, Mary's Lane, Sherry's Lane? I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. Is it the bench right there? Or it's my understanding that they were at the bench closest to the Freedom Bridge. So it's important because look at that. That's 18 minutes, right? 18 minutes it took them from the high bridge to the from the Freedom Bridge to the high bridge, 18 minutes. So, yeah. But again, I believe, actually, I want to pull it up. That's what I was going to do. The exhibit, I'm going to pull up the exhibit that was circled by, I believe it was Voorhees. It's in my short, my YouTube short as well. I'm getting it. Just one sec. I had just moved I organized all my folders last night in my files, which was a mistake. Oh. I had it uploaded, but it's gone. I had it uploaded in StreamYard. It's like the most important exhibit that I wanted to show. And everything else is there but this one. All right, I'm just going to go. Let me make sure this is not here. I'm talking to myself. Sorry, y'all. Y'all talk amongst yourself or chat among yourself. That's so annoying. Oh, is it? Wait. Here's some maps. Okay. Yes, I did. All right. It's right here. Okay. This is what I've been yapping about this whole time. Probably could have saved everyone a lot of time. Sorry about that. Okay. 2:15. See? And see that circle? That is where Voorhees stated they were when that picture was taken. So, yeah. And like, no, I'm sorry, my bad. This is where they saw Bridge Guy. I'm sorry. This is where they saw Bridge Guy at 2:15, which is literally the time he's on the bridge, by the way. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about, Frank Meister. Yep, there's a photo. There's a couple photos missing. There's photos that weren't posted that are missing. So Frank Meister asked, also, where's the photo that the very first photo that Libby took, not the one of Abby on the bridge, the one prior to that. That's the empty bridge, right? That's the empty bridge photo. I'll pull that up. I have it. I think we all have seen it. Are you asking a specific question about that photo, Frank Meister? Yeah, the black and white one. I agree with you. Like, that is definitely possible. It's also possible that it could go both ways. She could have had her times wrong, but like this timeline is so tight, and you're using this evidence to substantiate when you ran into Bridge Guy, right? So if it's possible that she had her times wrong, it's possible that any of them had their times wrong. You know what I mean? It could go both ways. So I think like that's where there's evidence that should be out there that like says this is where I was. You know what I mean? Okay, I'll pull it up. You probably could find it quicker than I can at this point. They moved everything around. Here, let me just Google it. It's all over the internet, right? Okay, just 1 second. I'll Google it. Here, you know what? I'm just going to go to All Eyes. Thank you, All Eyes, for this, what you did here with all these fantastic. You know what? I want to highlight this to anyone that's watching. I hope she doesn't mind, but it's like such a great tool to use. I'm going to put this website up. And we'll look for it together. Oops. Let's see. Can you see my screen? Am I sharing my screen? Anyone see my screen? Anyone out there? Could someone please confirm if I'm sharing my screen? I would really appreciate it. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing over here. Oh, you see it? Thank you. Okay. There we go. It's weird. It was showing I was sharing it, but I wasn't seeing it on the StreamYard. At any rate, okay. So All Eyes on Delphi has a fantastic tool, which is on a website. It's All Eyes on Delphi .github.io/Rick Allen. Should take you right to the area right here where you can see so she has a docket here where she categorizes certain case events, and then also has great links where you could just click on the link and it will take you to supporting it information. Okay, so the trial evidence, let's see. Where is it? All right, here's Abby's picture. But that's not the one you're talking about. You're talking about the blank bridge. Like no one's on the bridge. Oh, no, it's the back seat, right? Abby crossing the bridge. This is sad. Okay, so the one of Abby was not in the cache. But I want to put Libby, but sometimes it's Liberty. You know what else? Let's see. This will. Okay, this is. Here we go. Timeline. Here we go. All right. So we're looking at, you said, let's see, 206. All right, where's 12? Sorry if I'm making y'all dizzy. All right. This is what I was talking about in the car. See how there's like the Snapchat activity and then there was unknown photos? Like as a means to when was she communicating with Bree? All right, almost there. Here we go. No, it's just that 7 hours ago. But okay, you hear mine? Here we go. 2:05. Snapchat of empty Monon High Bridge. But it's not. There's no like stamp on it, and I don't think there will be. You know what I mean? Because we only had like pictures of when people opened it and how many hours ago. So like the infamous 7 hours, like 7 hour ago. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had to get my dog out of the room and handle that. So yeah, there's just no. I think they had the metadata though, in some of the testimony, and this is where she's put where all I pulled it from on here is from what was it? I always get like Cecil and Beto mixed up for some reason. I don't know why. I think isn't it Cecil, the phone guy, or Bronner or whatever his name is. Yes, it does. The one earlier said 11:32. When you open it up to edit or send it. Wait, I gotta read this. Oh, interesting. So V says in 2017 Snap, when you'd post a photo taken in the moment through the app, it would be full screen. And if you use photo from memories or camera roll, it had a thin white border. Ah, so let's see. Thin. If you use a phone. Thin white border. So which it be if you're still in here? I'm sorry I didn't see that message earlier. Based on what you had stated, is this a thin white border or full screen? I don't know. See. I think okay. I might have to read things a couple times. Sorry. I think the timestamp at the top of the Snap hat is when it was posted to Snapchat, not taken. The timestamp at the top. You probably can't see my mouth, but the one that over delete Snap, February 13th at 1:26. But if you take a photo and do not upload it to Snapchat, it automatically goes into your phone gallery and it'll have a timestamp on it. I'm just curious what that edit snap is. Like, what do you edit? You know? I always thought you couldn't edit anything. I should bring my son in here and we can interview him. There is a bench halfway between the Freedom Bridge and the High Bridge. They took a photo at. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think it's very possible it could have been anywhere, right? Um, but at the same time, too, is someone. Let me move this. So I know there's like a bench right by the connector trail, like where where you can go straight to the Monon High Bridge. You can go the opposite direction to the Freedom Bridge. You can go towards the Mears parking, and then there's another path that takes you down to the creek, right? But like that's what I'm talking about. Like I'm going to call it an intersection, right? There's a bench close to that, right? And where she circled, there's also a bench right in the beginning of the bridge. And I think there might be another one in the middle of those two. But see, like the other one, like close to the area where she circled, right? There's a structure right behind that as well. And I try to zoom in on like Google Earth to see if I could tell what color the roof is. I mean, it looks like it's gray from this picture or like blue, right? But like that's not it, that's not real. It could be green, I mean, just the way things are pixelated. So or there could be like a shed there. I think there's a shed behind there too. Like there's things that we can't see. I think they really wanted it to the mirrors because that would give them explain the difference in time, right? So from what 1:26 to 2 o'clock, right? But still, it doesn't it takes 18 minutes to get from one side to the other. So from the Freedom to the Monon. So if we cut that in half, that's 9 minutes. So that would have put them at the Freedom Bridge. You know what I mean? At what? One was it? One, gosh, 45, right? Did I do math right? Am I mathing? So it's not 2 o'clock. Like Richard Allen's not even parked at that time. And who are the girls that Betsy Blair seen on the Freedom Bridge? It's in the PCA. Oh, that's why I have this. Okay, let's look. Okay, so she says at 13:46, or like not she says, that's what the PCA says. It says that Bessie Blair is seen on video at the Hoosier Harvest on 300 North, traveling eastbound to the trailhead to park at 1346. So 1:46 p.m. Blair saw the girls walking above as she went under the railroad bridge. So that's 1:46. Which is, okay, that's when she first got there, I believe. Okay, so Bitter Be Poet. This is something I found. Another important detail by the timestamp on the pic, she sent her mom shortly before the encounter. She likely ran into him near Freedom Bridge around 1:30, 1:35. Her pic was timestamped at 1:26. She said she ran into him not too long after, within several minutes. And I have a copy of the pic. It's her and her younger sister sitting on the first or several benches along the Freedom Bridge Trail, the one closest to the Freedom Bridge, maybe a couple hundred yards away. Couple hundred yards. I think he means feet. I don't know. Like, that's like 2 football fields, right? I mean, I'm not really good with like distance, but I know how big a football field is. Oh, Fish, you did a video on it? Wrong. Oh, like, did you wake up from the dead? Were you like dead asleep? Ba-bum, bum. No, we need to see his death certificate too. But yeah, I was being sarcastic, by the way. I do think Ron Logan is dead. I think they did, V. I could be wrong, but I know like there's court filings, I think in 2018. If you go on indiana.gov, there you can search for, court filings, and there was I don't know if it was subpoena, but the family had to get ownership of her phone and that data, like legally. And I know they included some of her email addresses, and I'm pretty certain that all tied into, getting information from Snapchat. I mean, it doesn't look like they were successful. I know that Snapchat is really hard to get information. Like, I guess that makes sense because like their whole business model is, hey, things are erased. So if they're caught, having this data, I think it would definitely hurt their brand. At least like right away or something. But yeah, I think this was in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm wondering what Fish made a video on. Edit Snap on Snapchat generally refers to modifying a photo or video after it's been taken or select from your camera roll before sending it to others or posting it to your story. Thank you. Modifying. Well, I hear what you're saying there, and I think that does sound like obviously people walk at different paces and all that stuff, but I was just going to by 18 minutes. Um, because she posts the Freedom Bridge at 12:43, and the other one, the photo of the bridge where she says back like she's returning, is at 12:25, which is 18 minutes. Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Like, it's very possible she had her time wrong. I guess what I'm trying to also say here is that this was admitted into evidence, and I didn't see the state pushing back and like refining, like, hey, you sure about that? Because they had an opportunity to do a cross, a recross or whatnot. You know what I mean? Like they had a second go at questioning her, and it didn't seem like they wanted to do that. Because to me, if somebody writes at 1:15 on a map, and it was funny. I was kind of chuckling when I was reading it because I could just Ajir, I believe, was the attorney, and she was like, "Can you write that down?" You know. But like if you go by evidence, right? And 2:15 would have made it literally impossible for the guy that she's seen at, you know, Freedom Bridge to be the same guy that's on Monon High Bridge, right? Thought that was for Apple iCloud. Yeah, I mean, I did see a couple. I don't know. I don't know why. I could be totally wrong here. I think they were trying to get a bunch of stuff um simultaneously. Or like in her emails to log into like other apps or something. But like, what is that one device called? It was, I think it's Gray Key. We're supposed to unlock everything. So yeah, I mean, they were trying to get information. That's for sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. That's a scary thing, with just in general with kids using an app that the whole model is to erase things, like it never happened, like Vegas. I'm just kidding. Um, it's scary. And then they had that. I think in 2017, I was talking to somebody else about this. Where then I believe they rolled out the whole friends thing where you could see where everyone's at. I was like, oh gosh, that's that's like an invitation to predators. Same thing with the Pokemon stuff. I probably said that wrong. My kids always correct me. Mm. Yeah. So just like in closing, um, I don't understand how Richard Allen was convicted. And I'm gonna say that. And the scary part is like you don't have to be on a side to not think that is scary as hell. Because like if that is like there's no DNA, there's no phone data, you got other pings in that area for some crazy reason, like the geofence stuff wasn't allowed in. Um, so there's no like, hey, your phone is at this location. I mean, how? There's no anyone's phones at any location in this case. And, we're looking at screenshots. And again, to me, should not be like the standard of evidence, in my opinion. And there was just like, he places himself on the bridge. I get it. And I can see why people believe he's guilty. Like I think he might have something. I'm pretty sure he was on that bridge at that time. I can't like, but I don't have anything to refute that. Like I can't say like, hey, this, I relied on, such and such testimony or this exhibit or whatever to make that determination. It's just my gut, right? And if I was on that jury, there's no way in hell I would have convicted him. But that's just me. I'm different. Then that's why there's 12, usually 12 people, right, that talk it out and come to a conclusion. It's just scary that somebody could, be convicted based on the video that we've seen and this, witnesses that don't know what time they seen him. They're describing him differently. And it's like you can't argue both ways. You can't, well, you shouldn't say, hey, they picked him out and saw the video and hey, that's Bridge Guy. That's Richard Allen. And at the same time, not put any weight in anything else. You know, you know what I'm saying? Like there's just, I don't know. I'm rambling here. I've been going on for a long time. But I just think there's just a couple things that really bother me that stick out. One is I don't believe Brianne Wilbur seen Bridge Guy to the extent where she was on the witness stand. I think they totally underestimated Voorhees. I do believe Voorhees got a good look at him, and described him very similar manner, like in a similar manner that apparently Daniel Pearson described him as, that he never testified. They both, multiple people seen a dog on, a dog walker. Like, okay, could there have been several different dogs? Yeah, definitely. There could have been several different dogs. It's just like, I wish would have seen a little bit more questions about the dog walker. Like, I didn't see any of that really when Voorhees was testifying. Like, and he felt like, what color was the dog? What did the dog look like? Was it a big dog? Was it a little dog? You know, anything. What breed was the dog? That was something like no one really tackled that. And then you have multiple people at different times seeing a dog. And I think there's a big gap there between both dog sightings. Like you got 230 of seeing this dog, and then you have when Voorhees at some point from the bridge to the one bridge to the other, or at the creek or whatnot, seeing this dog, and she seemed to be out. They seem to be out there for quite some time. Um, and then you got the 215 written down as on evidence that totally contradicts the timeline whatsoever. So I just thought that those were things that were interesting, and it stuck out to me, and I thought I'd share it. Sorry, my Google Earth didn't work the way I planned it to be to work. Part of me wants to figure it out and still, complete it. So then I could just put a link of it in my community, like on my community page for people to check it out. But then part of me wants to just be like, screw this. I don't know. Does anyone have any questions? Let me cover a couple other comments here. Geofencing was not used because it was inaccurate. Plus, the defense did not want to use it because Richard Allen's phone was in his car. He was fucked. I mean, why would the geofence be inaccurate? That's scary. Sounds like everything else in this case. Like I said, they showed a picture of Bridge Guy to the witness and asked who it was, and they all said it's the guy we saw on the trail. Yeah. I'm not arguing with that whatsoever. Well, I guess my counter to that, because you know me, I can't shut up, would be then why didn't anyone recognize the man in that picture at CVS when it's like one of the few stores in town, probably like the only pharmacy. I don't know. I'm assuming. Right down the police station, like down the street from the police station for 5 years or 6 years. Like, why didn't people find him that way? That would be my counter on that. Okay, so Peace Train says he confessed to his mother, he confessed to his wife, he confessed to his psychiatrist. His bullet was at the scene, and now we've learned his mother was suspicious of him. I mean, are you utilizing what's in Murder Sheet's book to substantiate that? That his mother was suspicious of him? I mean, I'd be suspicious of my son if he was sitting in jail and people say that, like, and that's my son, I would know that my son wouldn't do that, but like, can't say that it wouldn't be something out of the norm to be suspicious of somebody that's sitting in jail for a double homicide who said he's at the bridge. Like, I would be suspicious too. And I don't put any weight in any of those confessions. So that's just me. My opinion. In my opinion, his wife is a victim of him, and he was someone diagnosed with a personality disorder. Yeah, I agree. I feel really bad for her. Either way, if Richard Allen really did do this, or if he's innocent, like that's horrible. Yeah, I agree. I think the voice does match to me. That's just I think that's subjective. But at the same time, too, I don't think like um, somebody that doesn't like specialize in voice comparisons to like be the one that says that voice matches, and that video was enhanced too. So when did they do that? I'd be curious when they did that enhancement. Like, it seems like this whole case is reverse engineered, and they had to like fit him into what they knew or what they've been told. So like they completely like manufactured the evidence in a way to like fit their theory. Like, I have a question, I have a counter here, like, to anyone actually that thinks Richard Allen is guilty, and I don't fault anyone for that. Um, I would like ask yourself lead what did they do through their investigation process to literally find anything to Richard Allen or anyone that in that matter? Like, what clue did they find where they're like, okay, it's X, Y, and Z? I'd like to know more. Richard Allen was also allegedly looking at people and saying things that were never heard about from anyone else in court. I don't know what you mean there, Fish. He was saying things that were never heard about. Was that in the book too? Because like I'm pretty certain that Murder Sheet always sat in the same spot, which is the back row on the prosecution side. So I would have like I don't even know if that's possible. Like, I couldn't hear anything in there pretty much. Just knowing how that layout and the acoustics are in that courtroom. I believe she probably was, but she knows it was him now. How do you decide that? It's like to see the audio match. Yeah, I think it's just subjective. Like, when I heard it, I thought he sounded very similar to Rich Guy. Maybe that's why he didn't take the stand. But they heard his he did sound a little bit different in both interviews. I can't say that. I think because they were like in two separate rooms. Well, that's interesting. Good to know. You already think he's the guy. Bias is a crazy thing. But we all have biases, right? I think it's trying to put those to the side and, you know. Hi, Miranda. Yeah, I agree. Mm, yeah. I did feel kind of bad for I didn't like I just what didn't sit right with me is how he was saying, you know what I mean? You know me. Like giving her the answer. And I don't I don't know. It could be nothing. Maybe that's how they talk. Or I mean, maybe I would say something like that as well. Like, you know me. Like if I was trying to convince like my mother or somebody like, come on, you know me. You know I would never do this. I can see it both ways. Fake message. Did you hear what Murder Sheet is claiming about any threat? When he told her, you know me, right? Yeah, that's kind of how I read it. What they said in the book that was in the Daily Mail article. Don't recall what was specifically said, but that threats were made to Nick McClellan or Gull. Yeah, and I'm curious the timing if that's what happened. You know, if I felt railroaded and I'm already convicted for 2 homicides, I'm maybe not threat, but I would definitely flip them off or something. Peace Train. She's been conditioned by him her entire adult life. He threw a fit in court and got his way. I wish they did do voice matching, but I don't know very much about that. Oops. Oh, Ron's selling his goats again. 175 each. Get them while they're hot. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do recall that. Okay. Who else has corroborated it? Turbo. I will tell you this. It looks could kill. A lot of us would have been dead in the courtroom the way Richard Allen was looking at us. Yeah, I heard that. But like what time like when was the timing of that? Because I do know like yeah, a lot of people were saying like he looked like drugged. Like his eyes were popping out of his eyeballs. Luis, that's true. It has been done over many, many years. Yeah, I don't. What I've heard, Miranda, and you probably heard the same thing about his out of state prison transfer, is that doesn't appear that it was made by Richard Allen. Maybe indirectly because he wanted to like get out of segregation and perhaps the prison um, felt like they couldn't keep him safe. So maybe indirectly, but like he didn't make that request. Um, And that Indiana has some type of I don't want to use the word exchange, but like some type of agreement with Oklahoma. He's in Oklahoma, right? Pretty sure. Um, and I don't think like he's the first one that's been transferred in this, in this agreement scenario. Like during when there was a break and we were all standing in line and he would stand up and it was waiting to be taken out of the courtroom and he would just look at everybody. Was this trial, Frank Meister, or was this like pre pre-trial? If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, is this prior to trial? Because like the day I went, and I only went one day, and I was sitting, I think, pretty close to Kathy Allen. She was in the second row, I think, when I came. But anyway, I seen him stand up a couple times. I seen the huge marshals. Holy crap, those guys are some big dudes. Um, and anyway, I saw him like kind of chit chatting, and he seemed pretty normal to me. But I do have a bias, right? So I didn't pick up on that. I heard there's a new gag order over the case. Indiana is part of the interstate transfer system, and Oklahoma is part of it. Hmm. Laura says, Frank, we share similar seats many times. Agreed. Kathy never sobbed. Maybe sniffles. I mean, how long can you cry for, though, too? Like, if I've been through something traumatic. I'm not going to go into details about it, but um, you, I got to the point where, like, I couldn't cry. And I couldn't cry for a long time after that. You know what I mean? Like, you just run out of tears. You go into survival mode. But everyone's different. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Hmm. So Luis is talking about this gag order. So she says, in defense diaries, Hannah stated that. Yeah, she did. I'm sorry, but there's no way in hell if I was married to somebody for over 30 years, ain't no way I would know it was my spouse on that bridge. I agree. But I think that could go either way. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the fact, like, let's just say Kathy Allen never suspected Richard Allen. Let's just say that. Um, it could substantiate that it is not him because she didn't recognize him. Just saying. B says, I looked on X. It says Murder She and Richard Allen said to Nick if he kept pointing at him, he'd hurt him, and told his family if they attended sentencing, he would hurt Gull. But why no one said it until now? Well, people got to sell books. and squeeze all they can, all the money they can. I'm not a fan, so. Big Fish Small Pond says, she said the new ISP head of governor said no media. Oh, that's interesting. But like, isn't that the executive branch? Like, what does it have to like the judicial branch? Like, isn't there supposed to be a separation of powers? Like, I don't see how a governor could say no media. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's no law requiring it, so it's a discretionary thing. Um, so true crime talk with Frank Meister says, especially seeing the photo, the video, and the audio all the time over years. Yeah, they did play that a lot. And especially after he told her he was out on the trails that day, my blinkers would have been on the whole time. Yeah, but you know what? At the same time, Frank Meister, I can see where she he goes to the police, he calls them, they interview him, then they say that the sketch, the person in the sketch is clear, and then they put out this like kid that looks like he's 19 years old. Like, I would think, okay, my husband had nothing to do with this if I didn't recognize him, of course, like, how could he have anything to do with this? Like, he went and talked to them, and look at this other sketch. Looks nothing like him. I could see where Kathy Allen would be like, that must not be him. The police fucked up this whole thing. I'm sorry. They really did. And I haven't been drinking either, so. Oh. But why would she ever have suspected him? It wasn't a heavily trespassed area. Okay, here's a question. Why is there a trail cam at the end of the bridge? Like, what the heck? That's creepy, knowing what happened. And why did Brad Weber's mother say that her son got home at 3:30? Miranda, law enforcement and the prosecution not participating in media isn't a court-ordered gag order. Oh. I spoke to Lieutenant Holman, and he told me that the new superintendent and the attorneys for ISP said no to the documentary. You know who they said yes to? All of them. They said yes to Murder Sheet. Because it's not a highly trafficked area, so the strategy was to be Kathy or other family's members. Clearly, this is your loved one, especially if he was literally out there. Right. There's a lot of people out there too. Where are our A's friends? Yeah, that's a good question. You know what is interesting? When he was first arrested, I didn't hear anyone talk like shit about him, like this guy's weird or any of that. Actually, I think I've seen a couple interviews where people are like, he was a good guy. I mean, I know that happens all the time. Like you know, people living next to serial killers and people wouldn't even know. But yeah, that's a good question. Like where are his friends? It's kind of sad. Here's the thing, like, why didn't anyone hear Brad Weber arrive at 2:30? Yeah, but that is not a busy road. You can hear everything. I mean, you can hear the water flow under the, bridge while people are standing on top, and that bridge is like, what, 80 feet high? Something like that? I mean, David McCain knows the exact distance and, height, but, it was something like that. Kathy said Richard Allen is her person. It's as if he secluded her to himself. I think he had emotional issues too, right? With the depression and all that. Yeah. Peace Train says, Louise, I thought it was so strange that they didn't scoot closer to each other during his interrogation and she was allowed to come in. Yeah, I thought it was strange too when he had asked if he could kiss her. That was kind of weird. Okay. So Laura, in December of 2016, there was a trail cam on the tree facing the bridge. So what is that? 2 months prior to the murders? And then didn't Riley say that they're checking all the trail cams? And I think this could have just been like to mislead too, because I can see why you wouldn't want um any suspects to know you have a video or whatever. You want to keep things close, right? Anyway, or saw something that he was like there was a trail cam, like there was a picture from a trail cam. And wasn't there somebody like stealing trail cam or something like that? Oh, Frank, I'm gonna interview. Oops. Oh yeah, what did they say, Frank Meister? He owned a cat, he worked, he mowed his lawn. It's tragic. Okay, nobody wants to have an association with even a suspected child killer, especially in a small town. Don't want to bring that heat on themselves or the family. Yeah, that's not nice. Okay, the Devil's Den killer owned a cat. Does that make him innocent? What? I don't get it, Louise. I don't think I'm sorry if I'm laughing and I didn't mean to make that funny. That cat was huge too. Oh my god. That cat looks weird. Just saying. According to who? Tests on multiple days from locations in different weather. Where did that fact come from? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Also, Frank Meister has been hearing of a hawk. Oh, he has the hearing of a hawk. He could hear everything we couldn't. Court. I believe it was said during trial that there is a sample left of something, maybe a hair that isn't adequate for testing at this time, but possibly in the future. Yeah, I think there's a lot of hair. I want to see if I could find. There's something in an exhibit, I think. See if I can find it real quick. If not, I'll have to table that. But I thought I heard like something like 30 pieces of hair or something. And the thing is, why can't they test that? I understand technology and you don't want to waste, but I think it's advanced where what was it? It was something I read where they exhumed a body or something from like, no, it wasn't a body. I don't know. It was like a piece of hair, and it wasn't like no one thought anything they would get anything of it, and they got a match. I think it went from like 18 to 32 markings or something, or 16 to 32. Firefighter was caught on one of them, right? Okay, yeah. So I think there's two separate cameras. So there's one that was at the end of the bridge, facing the bridge, that I've seen. And then there's one near the Ron Logan or on the Ron Logan property. And I think it said it was north. It was facing, I don't know. It caught somebody, but not like a clear picture, and barely, if my memory serves me correct. Yes, I believe a searcher was caught. Yeah, but you know what? I've seen some people with trail cams and like avid hunters, and it's amazing the night vision on them and how like the quality. I guess it depends on the type of trail cam you get, but I don't think we could dismiss it just from the type of camera. You know what I mean? I mean, there's motion sense, like they go off. My friend has an app and gets notifications, and I've seen the quality of some of the pictures that it was taken. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm not saying that they owned this type of camera. He might have like a really good camera. I don't know. I don't hunt. Originally, the BG pic was said to be from a trail cam. Yes. And then he swerved and said, nah, really, it was from Libby's phone. Yes, I agree. That's interesting. RA was convicted. Blaming innocent people isn't going to make RA innocent. So here's a question. And this is not towards you, Louise, just in general. Would anyone be shocked if it comes out one day that he didn't have anything to do with this, based on the evidence that was, admitted into trial? Yeah, the guy. Oh yeah, you and I talked about this, Frank Meister. He lived right in Chicago and went to high school there, and the family moved in 2019, I believe it was. That dude's crazy. Oh, I don't think so, Louise. Laura, do we need to go live and chat? I think that's an excellent idea. Frank Meister is a stud. Friends, this thing is bothering me. Let me take this off. Okay. Friends' wives are always suspicious. Can't go by them. Kidding, but only by half. There was a couple hairs on Abby's hand or fingers that Val explained why that happened because she was wearing Kelsey's sweatshirt. I'm not going to touch that. Ron, please don't try to breathe him. I'm just moonlighting. I'm back to work full time, so I can't keep up with any social media. That's a shame. Buy a tree stand. Right? I made him scream in Tuakalaka. Hmm. God, Miranda's dog is so cute. Some of his warmer coworkers had some pretty bad experiences with him. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not touching that one either. Including the dark-looking guy. They could only bring things into trial that were proven. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Does like Wi-Fi depend on like does motion like there's motion sensors that could trigger a camera without Wi-Fi? I think you still need to replace batteries on all trail cams, if I'm not mistaken. I believe the fireman on trail cam was said in court. I'm glad they don't have cams in here. You wouldn't believe the things my Sully does for honey buns and coffee. Yeah, honey buns are like gold in prison or jail. It's not like the new pack of cigarettes, I've heard. Big Fish, you also make fun of the unhoused. Who doesn't have a house? Okay, sorry. Oh, that was a mistake. I'm getting like slap happy right now. Okay. The FBI flew down to Arizona where Kay Weber, her wife, were on vacation and showed her a picture of Bridge Guy and asked her if she knew who it was. And she said no. Sad face covered from nose down. Didn't she like come home though, Frank Meister? I heard that could be a rumor. Don't look like. Oh my god. Oh, oh jeez. Yeah, I know they were like snowbirds, right? But I could have swore I seen something, and it could be total rumor that like she flew back after this happened or something. Armadillo meat is pretty good on the grill, a little chewy, but got good taste. Sounds amazing. Oh, you guys are funny. You're funny. I think I showed everything that I uploaded. I showed this. Just I'm going through all these. Make sure I didn't forget anything. At this point, I don't even know what I talked about. Oh, no. That's my. It's Betsy Blair's car. Oh, this is nothing, but this is like another view of what it looked like before 25 was expanded or built or whatever you want to call it. I wonder what's this. I wonder what the building is next to the old CPS. What it was. Was that the old Andersons or something? I don't know. I think I did that one. Just making sure. Yep. Yeah, I got through all of them. Only took me 3 hours and 24 minutes. For one, I make fun of everything, including myself. Two, what did that have to do with anything? Three, I've been unhoused like 10 years ago. Oh, I don't know. Do you guys want to just communicate and I can like put up the comments so you guys can see each other? I'm just totally kidding. It is so awesome. The block option in YouTube is fantastic. And it's okay to block people because actually it's like sometimes, most of the time, it's like the mature thing to do. You didn't talk about what bad. Yeah, I didn't. You're right. So Brad Heath seen a car parked at the CPS building, right? Let me see what time it was. Okay. Brad Heath drives an older model vehicle parked on the side of the road halfway between the CPS building and the entrance to Freedom Bridge on his way to work. He described it as an older vehicle that was 4 doors and a faded dark blue color. He estimated the vehicle was late 80s or early 90s model. This is what All Eyes has written. So I want to give her credit, not just like steal her shit. So yeah, it was around 2:06 p.m. Oh shoot, let's see if the exhibit's here. Oh wow. Looks like the Sanford and Son vehicle. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. So that is what Brad Heath seen, like literally right around that time, 2:06, close to the CPS building and Freedom Bridge. Thanks for pointing that out, Frank Meisner. Triple B's. That's an old. That's like one of the old police cars, right? Like was it a Chevy? What's that? Trying to think the name of it. Been a long time. I think like we're all at the point like I don't even know if people remember why people are fighting anymore. Oh. I know I forget like why I've been mad at people. I'm like, wait, why was I mad at them? Somewhere between 7:30 and 9 in the morning. It was not at the CPS building. It was right at the bend at the on 300. That was a trail leading to the Freedom Bridge. Wow. Let's see. Testimony of Brad Heath. So between 1:43 and 2:06. Yeah, it is. A few times it took several months, but the most recent one was not too long ago. I was watching for some reason, the Fugitive movie, the old one. And when I saw the police car Tommy Lee Jones was driving, I thought, wow, that's pretty close. I wouldn't say that's the exact model or vehicle, but I think that places it in the late 80s. I always thought it was late 80s or early 90s. I'm not a car person. Let's see. Okay. Question. So earlier in the day, when you were traveling down the Hoosier Heartland to go to the west side of Delphi, did you get a chance to see the side of the vehicle you talked about earlier and was between the trailhead and the CPS building? Yes, you could see it from the road. So the trailhead and the CPS building. So it's parked on the road. See, it's like trailhead. Like I get so confused again because like there's a trailhead parking, which is literally what I just pulled up on the map, um, on the other side of the Freedom Bridge. So CPS and the trailhead. So if they're talking about Mirrors trailhead, like that's a pretty big distance. Like you can't further refine that. Okay. Mr. Heat, just for clarity, that vehicle was not parked at the CPS. Would you agree that is correct? Hmm. Is there a map or something in here? Oh, okay. So you see this road here that kind of comes down to the small Pack building. Are they talking about the Packers building? Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Because you know what, V, she did. So wait, let me backtrack. So V asked, who was the dark SUV with stickers on the back that Kelsey saw? Or was it never determined? I didn't hear anything about any stickers or any vehicles at all. Like I didn't read that. I didn't read like she's seen any vehicles. Like I know I block people that I don't want to argue with. I just letting you know I see nothing you say, so don't waste the effort. Nothing against you. Sold. Okay. Thanks, Ron Logan. That's what they use to call me back. It wasn't 206. Yeah, it says here she might have ran out of room. There was a time frame. I mean, is this the one? Did he see that twice? See, I did not read his testimony. That's like one full disclosure. And I probably need to. Bye, Peace Train. Thanks for stopping by. Hurt people, hurt people. Yeah, I think so too. Thank you, Beasley. Oh, he's the pest guy, right? I mean, was his vehicle parked there? Could his be one of them? I heard something about a white truck. The trailhead starts at the end of it. Yeah, that's what I But okay, yeah, Frank Meister, like in the documents, in the court documents, they refer to the trailhead as the connector, like the intersection. Unless I'm just dumb and read it wrong. Like it was like the Mears connector, the Mears Trail connector or something. It was confusing me. The times are probably wrong because only RA, the killer, knows exactly when and what happened. Yeah, the killer definitely knows. I don't see anyone talking shit about it, but maybe somebody blocked me. That's possible. That's happened to me a couple times. Where like some crazy person comes into my live stream, not naming any name, Adrian, and like puts all this weird shit in there, and I don't see it. I only have one mod too. I mean, I have the best mod. So I shouldn't say only, but okay. It was in an article where Kelsey was interviewed, not in testimony. So I don't know if it was figured out or not. Yeah, I've seen that. Uh-huh. And I also seen her say something about a dog walker. Go figure. It was like a white dog or something. What? Frank Weiser. At the end of Freedom Bridge, there's a little trail that runs off to the side onto 300 with a gate you have to open. That's really interesting because there was a couple testimonies that I read where people are talking about like, yeah, it had a gate in front of it. And I'm thinking some people may assume, like me, that that's the Webbers, right? And guess what? Like, I think this other one that you're talking about also has an old farmhouse or old farm or old barn or something by it. And Richard Allen says that he parked by an old farm building and it had like, I think he said something about like a little bridge or a gate. Well, that's like on the other side of Freedom Bridge. So, like, that's not the CPS. Just saying. That's believed where Richard Allen came in onto the Freedom Bridge into the trailhead. Yes. That's what I believe. Because a big, like, I picked up on something, I'm sure a lot of people did, but what stood out to me is how they say, oops, why is it doing that? Hold on. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. That he walked to the Freedom Bridge. Like, why would you have to walk to the Freedom Bridge if you parked at the CPS? Yeah, you may pass the Freedom Bridge if you parked at the CPS, but like the word to, reads to me a destination, the way that it's like written. Let me see if I can find it. I know this is the search warrant one, but it's like almost the same thing as the PCA. I mean, I guess they're both PCAs, but you know what I mean. Oh, this is another thing that I really didn't point out as much as I wanted to is how they wanted to stick to the 3 girls. Because Richard Allen said he saw 3 girls, right? But there was 4 girls. So even Bree Wilbur omits one of the girls. She doesn't talk about her in her own testimony. She mentions Voorhees, herself, and Anna Spath. The 3 of us. Well, there was 4. And I didn't really see like the defense really driving that. And maybe they couldn't, but he doesn't say 4 girls. Which we all know. I just wanted to point that out. Just in case there's any newbies. Yeah, I can't find it right now, but my eyes are getting tired. Okay. Okay, yeah, right here. Mr. Allen was on the trail between 13:30 and 15:30. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw 3 females. Like, what's up with that? He saw 3 females. Yeah, that's what he said, I guess. But okay, and then he said he walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. Why not say Richard Allen parked at the CPS building and while he passed the Freedom Bridge on the way to the High Bridge, he encountered or seen these 3 females. Why does it have to be I walked to here and that? You know what I mean? I don't know. I just think it's weird, but I digress. Did you like it, Miranda? Yeah, that's that one trail that's by the older bridge, right? $300. Thanks, Louise. There's Frank Meister's link in here. Y'all should check him out. And thank you, Louise, so much for modding and everything. I know what you meant. I was just joking, Frank Meister. I had to say it, $300. Like I said, I'm slap happy right now. I think it's time for me to get off. That's what I think. So I appreciate everyone joining. Hope y'all have a nice week. And oh gosh, who is this person? Sorry, I got distracted because like people just like drama all the time. Go take the drama somewhere else. All right. So thank you everyone for joining. And until next time.